So I've got a super exciting video for you guys today. So I've just built this crypto quant agent. So I'm going to give you a quick demo how it works, and then I'm going to show you exactly how to build this thing from scratch. So you can go and use this straight away. I'm not going to leave anything out. You're going to get the whole thing. So stick around to the end. But this site works. Essentially, I'm just going to execute this workflow, and it works off Telegram. So what we'll do is say we have a cryptocurrency that we want to look at. We would type the symbol for this in on Telegram, just like that. And then this agent is going to go and grab the last 250-minute candles from Binance. Then it's going to grab the last 200 1-hour candles, and it's going to do the same for the 1-day candles. And what it also does as well is it runs through any news articles from the last 3 days, categorizes them by the most popular, and then runs sentiment analysis on these news articles. And then it combines it with the candlestick data, runs it through an expert crypto agent. So I'll just quickly show you the prompt that was used, where it's going to both give you a short-term analysis and a long-term analysis on the potential trade. And if it sees a trade output, it's going to give you a trade with an entry price, a stop loss, a take profit, and a rationale explaining why to take that trade. So this is super interesting. I don't see traditional traders being around in the next 5 years when we have things like this, which can grab so much data and compile it and combine this with new sentiment as well, which is an absolutely insane system. So we've got the analysis back now. It's saying in near 15-minute scale, it's consolidating. So there you go. So now let's build this thing from scratch. And this is a super simple build as well. So first off, the trigger we're going to be using is a Telegram trigger. So we're going to do a Telegram on message. And then what we need to do next is just add a little code node. Now, the reason for this is the Binance, which we're using for the API data for the candles, it pairs cryptocurrencies with USDT. Now, don't worry if you don't understand that, but that's just basically the symbol that it uses inside Binance. But we don't want to have to type BTC/USDT every single time on Telegram. We just want to be able to type, BTC and get a result, or ETH for Ethereum and just get this result straight away. So what this code node is going to do, it's basically just going to tell this thing to, whenever we put a cryptocurrency in, you're going to combine this into a JSON format where it's BTC or Ethereum/USDT. So that's all it does. And I'm going to give you exact code as well. So I did actually use ChatGPT to write this code, which you can do the same, super simple, but I'm just going to open this up. So feel free to take a screenshot of this. So that is up to line 27. And then from line 27 onwards, pause it here, take a few screenshots. There you go. So that's the code for that node. Now, the next one is going to be the HTTP request. So these are the nodes that are going to go and grab the data from Binance. So we're going to do HTTP like that. And we're going to leave this method as get, because when we send the request, we want it to then go and retrieve the data rather than post. And then the URL you're going to use for this is going to be that. So take a screenshot. Now, for this one, we've got 15-minute, because this is going to grab the 15-minute candles. And the limit means how many candles it'll grab. So this is going to grab the last 200 candles. So a candle is them little green and red things you can see on a trading chart, if you don't know what that means. So for this one, it's going to be that, and we're going to change this for the second one. So we're just going to leave that as it is, and then we're going to call this the 15-min. Then we're just going to copy and paste and do another one, and this is going to be called the 1 hour, 1H. Now, this time we need to change this 15-minute here to 1H, and the limit stays the same at 200. And we're just going to attach this to the code node like that. And then we need to do one more, which is the 1-day chart. Connect that up. And we're going to call this 1D. And for this one, we just need to change this to 1D, just like that. What I always like to do, just to make sure this thing's actually working, is we're just going to test this workflow right now. So I'm going to make sure this is on the right Telegram account first off. So we're going to use Telegram 1. I'm just going to use the same chart I used before. So we're just going to type in ETH, for example, and this thing should run. So there we go. And what we can see here is the 200 candlesticks. Now, if we click into these here, we can see that we just got a load of numbers. Essentially, these aren't titled as the 15-minute candles. So we're going to add an edit field node net, which is basically just going to label these candlesticks for us, just to keep the data clean and we know exactly what candles they are. So we're going to do an add edit fields. It's going to be edit set fields, and then we are going to change this to JSON, and we're just going to paste this in. So feel free to copy and paste this, but we can see here it's now formatted these candles for us. So this says 15 minutes. We can just copy this. We can go and set another one. In fact, we can just duplicate this 3 times. And we're going to change is the time frame. So for this one, we're going to go in and change this 15M to 1H. And then we're going to change the next one. So we'll copy this to 1D, just like that. We'll name this 1D, 1 day. We'll call this one 1 hour. And we call this 15 min. So now we have 600 pieces of data getting output. So we've got 200 from each, that's 600 in total. So we now need to merge these all together. So we're going to add a merge node next. And this essentially just puts all three inputs into one clean data set. So we're going to go to append. I'm going to leave this as 3. And then we're just going to connect these up in order like this. And now just to clean this up even more, I know it seems like overkill, but we have to do this. We now need to add another code node. Now don't get scared. I also use ChatGPT to write this one as well, but I'm going to give you the exact code to put in. So you don't need to do that. So I'll open the box up, let you take a screenshot of this. But basically all this is doing is saying combine all this data into one JSON format that says all candles. So that's exactly what it's doing. It's saying here items array of input of items from merge node. Each item.json is a single candle object and it combines them under all candles. And this just makes it easier for the agent to read down the line. So now we need to actually do the news sentiment part of it. So for this, we're going to be using 12 data and I'll show you how to get your API key for that. But we're going to add another HTTP request. So I'm going to add this here. And this is going to be connected to your code node just after the Telegram trigger. Now, this is the website we're using for this node. Now, this is completely free. Just sign up, make an account, and it's going to give you an API key to put in here. And I promise you, completely free, as I said, so don't worry about any costs or anything like that. And the URL, you're going to leave the method as get, and the URL you're going to put is everything. And now we need to send some query parameters, and this is for our API key, and also to basically tell it what type of news articles to look for. So we're going to give it Coinbase and Bitcoin, but we'll get to that in a minute. Let's first put your API key in here and make sure the key has a capital K. I know it sounds weird, but that is just how 12 data want you to document the API key. So then you would just put your API key in here. I'm just going to leave this blank for now and I'll add it later on to make sure it works, but just so everyone doesn't steal my API key, because a few people have done that. My own fault. Comes with the game, just trying to help you guys out. So put your API key here, and then we're going to add another parameter, which is going to be, we're just going to put this as Q, and then we're going to put crypto or Bitcoin or CoinDesk, all with capitals on the start of each word. So exactly like this. And then we're going to add one more parameter, and this is just going to be a little bit of JSON. So we're going to put expression. I'm going to leave that as his, and this is just basically telling it, from the date now to when we want it to grab the news articles from. And we're going to call this from, and I apologize, there is actually one more parameter I've just thought of, and this is to rate them by popularity. So this is going to grab like almost unlimited news articles that are available, within this time period. So we want it to only grab the most popular articles because they're going to represent, the majority of the data. If you imagine Pareto's principle, the 80-20 principle, 20% of the news articles are actually going to represent 80% of the data. So for this, we're just going to do sort by, with a capital BY, lowercase s, sorry. And then we're just going to call this popularity, just like that. And then we're going to call this grab news articles. And then that one's done. Now what we want to do is add a OpenAI node that's essentially going to analyze these news articles. Now, N8N does have their own sort of built-in, sentiment analysis tool, but it's not actually, N8N does, but it's not too good. There's limited functionality on it. So we are going to prompt our own version of this. So we're going to add a message, a model node. So we're going to do message. So we're going to do OpenAI. We're going to do message a model. We're going to select 4.0 latest. And then the prompt we're going to put in here, I'm going to give you this so you can take a screenshot of it. So I'll open this up. So take a screenshot of this. So it just says, basically, you are a highly intelligent, accurate sentiment analysis analyzer specializing in cryptocurrency markets. Analyze the sentiment provided using a two-part approach, short-term analysis, long-term analysis. And then basically we just have this little piece of JSON at the bottom that basically stringifies all the results. It just puts them together in a neat format so the agent can actually read this thing down the line. So take a screenshot of that. There's part 1. Part 2. And then we just want to leave this as simplify output, and then we want to output content as JSON just so it's formatted all correctly, because everything else is in JSON, so we want this to be in JSON as well. Now, I've made one mistake here. We have actually missed a node out, so we can just disconnect this one for now, and we're going to add another code node. So the way we actually put as the query parameters in here, that we wanted the most popular articles. So I've just executed this and took my API key out, but we can see it's going to give us all these results, but it's going to give us loads of data that we don't actually need, such as publish start, URLs or image, description, title. Basically, an author, all we need is basically a description and a title. So we're going to add a code node next. It just filters this data, so we only get the essential data that we actually need for the sentiment analysis tool. So we're going to add a code node. We're going to call this filter news articles. And then we're just going to drop this piece of JavaScript in, which again, I wrote with ChatGPT. I'm going to save you the hassle. Take a screenshot now, drop this in ChatGPT and say extract the text, a little cheat code for you. But now that's going to filter news articles. So if we execute this, we now basically just get the title and the description, which is much better and much cleaner for our agent to read down the line. But now we have two outputs. So we've got the news sentiment output. We're going to connect this back up. And we have the candlestick data. So we now need to add another merge node because we've got these two inputs. We need to put them together so that the agent can read them. So we're going to add a merge, and this time it's going to be two inputs, sorry. So we're going to connect this to input 1, and then this is going to be input 2. And then we have one more code node, I promise, and this is just to make sure the data is formatted correctly. So we're going to add another code node, and you're going to drop this JavaScript into it. So I'll open it up, take a screenshot. There you go. So now the fun bit, now we're going to actually add the agent that's going to do the analysis on this data. So we're going to add an agent node. Now for this, I'm using ChatGPT, but feel free to use whatever model you want. I'm going to do define below. I'm going to call this the Crypto Analyst. And then you're going to put this exact prompt into it. So it just says, perform the following steps, group the data, candle data. This is all the candle data come through in a string. You're going to analyze the data in detail, do short-term analysis and long-term analysis, and then you're going to generate a trade recommendation, so buy, sell, or hold. And you're going to analyze and discuss volume trends, market sentiment, macro factors, and combine these elements into one comprehensive explanation, which is what you've seen before, which you outputted to us on Telegram. Going to leave that as it is. We're going to add a chat model, and we're going to use 4.1 mini, sorry. So we'll leave that as it is. And now, because we're analyzing so much data, it's going to probably hit the limit for Telegram. So I think Telegram has like a 3,500 character limit, maybe 4,000. So basically, we want to add another code node. I promised there wasn't going to be any more, but this is a super simple one. This is just to make sure that it's going to split the message up. So if it goes over the limit, it's going to split the message into 2 or 3 parts, depending on how big the analysis is. So one last code node, we're nearly done. And we're going to call this split message. And then you're going to drop this piece of code in. And I'll open this up so you can screenshot this again. So that is line 1 to 27. And I did actually use ChatGPT to write this. I can't write JSON myself, but AI is so good now, it can just write this for you. So that's the character limit, 4,096, I think. Maybe it's 4,000. So it might be slightly over. That's line to 1 to 27. And then this is 27 to 53. And then we've got the last half. So there you go. Take a screenshot of that. And now we have one last node to make this thing work, and that is the Telegram. So we're going to add Telegram, and we're going to do send a text message. And now for your chat ID, I've seen a lot of people do this before. They can't find this. Basically, how you find your chat ID is, and make sure this is on fixed because it does come into some issues with expression. But you're going to grab your chat ID from the first node. So if we go back to the first node, and you can actually find it inside this message as well, but we've not executed this yet. But if we go to Telegram trigger, we're going to go down to not this first section where it says message ID, but chat ID here under chat. This number here, we're just going to type in. So it's 586357283. And we're going to leave that as fixed. We're going to also go and add a field and do parse mode. And we're going to put this as Markdown Legacy. And we can change this to HTML as well, but I found, it tends to work better when it's in Markdown, as I like to go and do further analysis on it. But feel free to pick either HTML or Markdown Legacy for this. We'll put it as HTML for now. If we come into an issue, we might change that later, but we're going to test this entire workflow now. So let's execute this. So everyone, I've just put that in the wrong box, so everyone just see me publicly fail. So let's try this again. Execute workflow, text. So we're coming to an issue. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to disconnect this for now. I'm going to execute the workflow, and then I'm going to reconnect it while it's running. So I'm going to do ETH for Ethereum. I'm going to run that. We're going to connect this back up quickly before it goes through. and this thing should be working. Also, I've shown you how to build this thing, but if you did just want this pre-made and ready to use, you can get it inside my Skool community. Or if you have any other agents or anything like that that you need help with, I do weekly calls where we can jump on and I can talk you through it all, which is very helpful because I know when I was getting started, I was coming into a lot of errors, but it's just so much nicer to have someone who can guide you along. And basically, I can help you shortcut with all the mistakes. They've already done them for you. Now, we've got this little error in here, and that's because we've not added the text yet. So all we would do is we drag where it says message here in this last node into text. We're going to press execute, and let's see if we get an error. See if this works. And there we go. It's come through. We should check, and we'll check on Telegram. And there we go. We have some analysis that has come through. So we've got this big long piece here, and then we've got a shorter message that's split into two. And it is as simple as that. You now have an expert crypto analyst at your fingertips. So if you want more builds like this, please like and subscribe, or drop in the comments any more agents you want me to build, and I'll send them across. So see you guys in the next one.